access to your Salesforce data can mean losing everything. Business grinds to a halt, you've got frustrated customers, and there is wasted energy on a fire drill that lasts days or weeks. Fortunately, there's Own Backup. You never have to worry about data loss disrupting your business or your life.
Hi, welcome. We are so connected. We are connected now more than ever. Today we will learn how our friends start their digital transformation. Good morning. I'm Leah McGowan here. Yes? Good morning. I'm Leah McGowan here, and welcome to another one of our live weekly series as part of our Leading Through Change conversations, a chance for you to hear from leaders around the world who are doing their best to work through these very challenging times and support their communities. Now, before we get started, I want to preview the next hour. We'll bring you a conversation between Deloitte's Managing Principal of Businesses Global and Strategic Service, Jason Girzadas, and speak with Salesforce Alyene Schneidewind about how this pandemic is transforming Deloitte's strategy and how Deloitte is working with key partners such as Salesforce to build digital agility and connect with customers and work from anywhere, even in times of great change. We'll then dive into an amazing demo highlighting the power of Salesforce Anywhere. After that, we'll close with a special performance from Samir of Young the Giant. Now, if you like what you see, which I'm sure you will, subscribe to get the latest stories from Salesforce's blog every week at salesforce.com/signup. We'll talk to leading trailblazers throughout the world and leaders and customers to learn how they're putting the customer at the center of everything they do. Subscribe now to stay informed with all the latest information. And as we do every week on Leading Through Change, we want to help those who need it the most. This year, we're commemorating the 30th anniversary of the American with Disabilities Act to celebrate progress toward ensuring equal access for all. Salesforce and the Muscular Dystrophy Association are teaming up to show the strength for MDA. Now, to get involved, please visit the link you see on your screen right now and help support this year's MDA Telethon, which was a huge success last Saturday. And before I pass it over to today's host, Alyene, a reminder to stay up to date with all of our free, publicly available Dreamforce to You 2020 content at dreamforce.com. And now I'd like to pass it over to Alyene.
Thank you, Leah. I'm so pleased to be here today with Jason Girzadas of Deloitte. As you mentioned, Jason is the Managing Principal of Businesses Global and Strategic Services. And in that role, he's responsible for driving integration across Deloitte's 4 businesses, strengthening Deloitte's market position in the US and globally, and building differentiated capabilities to transform and innovate customers toward a technology-driven future. And while many of you know Deloitte as one of our very important strategic partners, they're also a great Salesforce customer. And this is why I'm so excited to speak with Jason today and hear his perspective, not only on how Deloitte is helping clients build digital agility, but also to hear how Deloitte is leading their organization and how they're using Salesforce to help with that. So thank you, Jason, for being here with us today.
It's great to be with you, Alyene. Thank you for having me. On behalf
Yeah.
of all my Deloitte colleagues, it's great to be here, and we're thrilled to be a top partner with Salesforce.
We love it. And I'm really excited because I think this conversation is an area where we're both kind of crossing new horizons. So I thought we would start out by talking a little bit about how work has changed, and especially those with customer-facing work during this pandemic. Salesforce and Deloitte, like many of our customers, were immediately thrown home and overnight had to entirely reimagine our workforces and how we worked with customers. So what were some of the most significant lessons learned that you encountered both at Deloitte and you're seeing with customers as we responded to that initial phase of the pandemic?
Yeah, it's a key question. And, I think it's important to first start off by saying, what we've gone through and what we're still going through is first and foremost a human tragedy, right? I mean, it has impacted the globe, certainly the loss of life, the level of stress and anxiety. It is to be acknowledged and a significant impact on all of us, no matter what. So as business leaders, we have to acknowledge that first. So I think one of the key lessons learned to start with is that we've had to think about this whole situation from both a head and a heart perspective, if you will. This is not just an analytical exercise. This is an emotional, a health-related crisis. And as a result, we've had to think about our response with respect to our workforce and our clients. And I'm sure our clients' all have to find that right balance, because I think we would say this has been a defining moment in all of our careers, but not just to sort of come out on the other end financially stable and secure, but also to have made an impact on the issues that this pandemic is really uncovering. So it's really, as I say, a head and a heart issue for us, and one where we've had to put that into play in terms of making and putting the safety of our workforce first and foremost. At Deloitte, we have, as a U.S. firm, over 110,000 professionals in multiple countries, as well as globally over 300,000 professionals. And so the safety or the well-being of our workers and their families is of paramount importance. And we put that first and had to take into account what would we have to do to help them be as effective and successful as possible. But beyond that, another lesson learned is we had to invest ahead of time in order to virtualize all of our workforce. And we've effectively, and today, as I'm speaking with you, we're still operating in an entirely virtual way. And so obviously there was decisions made, investments made that allowed us to do that when the pandemic hit. And I think, it's a testament to business continuity planning, the infrastructure and the digital systems we put in place, and the like. Because that is not something that could have happened overnight without those prior decisions. So a key lesson learned is thinking about some of these capabilities and infrastructure ahead of time. And I think we're seeing now, as we get into a bit of the recovery stage of this pandemic, the companies that haven't done that are struggling. They're struggling to adapt. And obviously that's a big part of what Salesforce is doing with your set of offerings and products to help companies do that. And then the third lesson learned is, as we've gotten past the initial responding to the crisis and we've moved into this recovery stage, how do you shift the focus to be not just short-term based, but long-term based? So beginning to, instead of being forced to virtualize, what are the choices we can make now to reimagine our business? And I think leading companies and the companies that we're serving as clients, and I'm sure Salesforce is seeing the same, and we're doing this together in the marketplace, is helping clients rethink much of what they have assumed to be the orthodoxies and the status quos that they couldn't challenge. So those would be the three things that I'd say as we are pivoting, and we have pivoted from the initial response to a recovery mode. And I think as the economy hopefully improves and the health status improves as well, which obviously is not a foregone conclusion, we can pivot into a very different third stage, which we refer to as the thrive stage of this recovery. And, I think that we're seeing flashes of that, but we're certainly not there in total yet, Alyene.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think, connected to that, I hear a lot of people talking about this as the new normal. And saying the new normal implies that some of the things that we're experiencing now are here to stay. I'd love to get your perspective on what do you think is the biggest permanent pivot going forward, both for Deloitte and for your clients?
Yeah, well, for us, the way we work will never be the same. I mean, we have had this opportunity to look really critically at how we travel, what the uses of physical office space are. Frankly, how do we communicate in a genuine, authentic manner with each other, right? We were talking about how, we're working at home. You're exposed to everyone's realities of their life. And I think it's actually changed the nature of the relationships that we have with each other. So for us as a firm, our 110,000 professionals, we think we will go back to some hybrid office experience, but we will have to work everywhere. We will have to work in a pervasive way. And I think our clients, as a result, and Deloitte is really a mirror of the marketplace in many ways, we're going to see a lot of clients in very different hybrid models. So for us as a firm, the real historic way professional services have been delivered will be fundamentally changed, is our view. But for our clients, I think there's a couple of things that are new normals. First and foremost, it's a deeper understanding of resilience. Looking at your company from the standpoint of, now that we've challenged all these assumptions about what does a supply chain need to look like? How do I motivate and incent an employee base in this environment? What does it mean to be trusted by my customers and my employees? So these are topics that I think are fundamentally different, and we will, at this point going forward, and the leadership teams, the CXOs and C-suites will think about resilience and trust in very different ways. The other thing I would say is, and I think this is genuinely true for the Deloitte Salesforce experience together, is that this notion of time to impact, time to value in terms of the work that we do together is fundamentally changed. The expectations is speed and speed to impact. And so those would be some areas that I think are fundamentally different based upon this experience.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm wondering what you're seeing from a buying perspective. Like, how are these changes in customer preferences influencing their future investment decisions?
Well, exactly. The clients that we serve, they realize that there are so many fundamental opportunities here to shift. And in order to be able to shift, you have to have the infrastructure to do it. You have to have the systems to do it. You have the access to the data to do it. And unfortunately, a lot of organizations have legacy capabilities and systems to make that shift. And so the buying decisions are focused on, how do I create this agility and this infrastructure that allows me to be more responsive? So, the fundamental changes to business models that are afoot are forcing that to be at the forefront of their buying decision criteria, if you will. I also think this issue of, who can I partner with that can help me make this journey? How can I rely upon and benefit from the innovation curve of a partner like Salesforce, or the depth and capability set of Deloitte? So those are issues that we're seeing in the forefront of client buying decisions. And I think there's a lot of pressure to understand that I have to evolve my business in order to deal with the fact that I have to have contact-less experiences. I have to be able to have speed to make adjustments to my product and offerings. I have to be able to scale at a different level. So these are factors that are forefront in clients as they're looking at their digital infrastructure.
Yeah, I agree. And I think something that you're touching on is, we're talking about this moment we were thrown into and how we were navigating it. But I also, we're seeing a lot about these small changes, but also that entire business models are being disrupted right now. So I'd be curious to get your perspective. How are your clients reimagining these business models, and how do you see them continuing to evolve through the recovery? And maybe also specifically, how are you seeing the role of digital be reimagined?
Yeah, it's a key question. And, I think what the pandemic has done is exposed many of the massive shifts that have been occurring, they're underway, and in many ways they're being accelerated. So, the business model impacts are profound. Revenue streams, very different. Obviously, the scaling of e-commerce, as we've known it has been tremendous, but it's only now accelerated even further. What does it mean to have a dynamic customer experience? What is the impact on my cost structure in this environment if I need to and have to invest in these capabilities? And then what is the role of other ecosystem partners? We're seeing that in very different ways. So those are core elements of business models that I think will be permanent changes and have to evolve. Beyond that, obviously what the pandemic has also done is required companies to also have additional capabilities in the workplace. And again, this is where I think Salesforce has been leading the way with work.com and what you're also doing with Salesforce Anywhere in terms of the kind of capabilities that allow companies to work in a resilient way, but pervasively across the enterprise. And other capabilities like how do I look at my service and my call center operations? What does it mean for the use of data around personalized marketing campaigns? How do I look at the use of data and analytical tools and visualization tools? So again, whether it's MuleSoft or whether it's what you're doing with Tableau, there's many capabilities that are relevant to these business model shifts. But if we take a big step back, and what Deloitte has been talking about with our clients for quite some time is, you have a number of forces that I alluded to, connectivity enhancing with 5G. You have data explosion and AI tools being more sophisticated. You've got this pressure around robotics and automation in terms of challenging where we have routine tasks that can be automated. Then you have tremendous expectations on the customer side or on the customer experience. And at the heart of all those things is a need to be more resilient and also to build trust. So how does an organization have the capabilities, the digital capabilities to do those things? And that's a tall task, but I do think that's what market leadership is going to look like into the future, is the ability for a client and organizations of all types to respond to those challenges.
Yeah, that's a great point. And something you just touched on is maybe where I want to take us next, and that's the employee experience. So obviously the technologies we've used now to pivot, have been powerful. But as we think about the employee experience, how do you expect your clients' talent strategies to evolve as a result of the pandemic? And maybe share a little bit about the innovation that you're seeing as customers are focusing on the employees and maintaining a winning culture.
Yeah, my Deloitte colleagues have spoken a lot, and certainly invite folks to check out the thinking around the future of work. This is a critical topic. And I think, again, the pandemic has exposed much of what has been occurring, but now accelerating it. So we really think about the employee experience in a couple ways. And it really is around the work itself, the workplace experience, and then what does the workforce have to look like? So those three dimensions are key to, I think, these sets of changes. In terms of work itself, and I'll start or come back to a point I made at the beginning, is that the purpose of work, the meaning of work, I think is being highlighted here and is ever more important. So how do employers, think about connecting real purpose and value to the work that people are being asked to do? And that's clear that that's desired and necessary for sustained performance and impact. I also think that we're all working more. I mean, the data suggests that the hours to the day are expanding, the number of meetings per day is expanding. And so, the stress and pressure on our workforces is immense. And how do we find a way to build resilience? I keep coming back to this concept, but resilience in a workforce and enabling them to be able to not only bounce back, but bounce forward in terms of all the adversities coming at them. So these are key concepts. I think the workplace is another area we'll see massive change. The use of workplace experiences for really developmental, immersive experiences with people and with clients, I think is a really important area of evolution and change. And then in terms of the workforce itself, how do I extend into the gig workforce or contingent workforce? What is the opportunity to do reskilling of my workforce in this environment? And again, another area where Salesforce has led the way with Trailhead and Pathfinder. These are really powerful tools for companies to say, instead of the cycle of hiring, laying off, and hiring again, how do I prepare people for the next evolution of change? So this reskilling issue is massive. And then finally, I want to emphasize this point, because this is an opportunity that we as a firm have really embraced, to saying, how do we use this opportunity and these tools and technologies, these digital capabilities, to make the workforce more inclusive? more representative, more diverse, because you can draw in resources like never before. We can more ably integrate and build teams that are incredibly diverse and powerful towards a common output. So these are areas that I think we're going to see more innovation, more change, but key focus for our clients and for us as a firm. And as I said, I think it's a work in progress for us all, but these are the key areas that we're focused on.
Thank you for making that last point around inclusion. I completely agree. I think that the reimagination goes well beyond, and it includes, how we bring so many more into our field. So it's amazing. Okay, so let's bring it back to Deloitte. Let's talk about the role that you play there. And I'd love to get your thoughts as you're looking forward to the future and you're thinking about how you are connecting both from a service, support, sales perspective. What are some of the innovations that excite you? And how are you thinking about that transformation?
Yeah, well, we're in the midst of our own Salesforce transformation as a firm, which we're very excited about, globally trying to bring together all of our sales activities into world-class set of platform capabilities. And I think what this current crisis has done for us is to say, we have to go beyond just traditional CRM. We have to actually think differently about using data through all points of our client life cycles, not just the selling motion or the actual close processes and that sort of a thing, but also in relationship building, in depth of collaboration amongst our teams. We operate a global firm. We operate across boundaries of every sort. As you mentioned, and my role involves me, and I have the privilege of working across all of our businesses. And so we have this immense opportunity to reimagine how we interface and the experience that we create for our clients. And so we're trying to pivot from sort of a traditional classic model to one that's much more expansive, and where more members of our team have access to the right data, where we're focused on long-term relationship building and collaboration at a very different level. And I think Salesforce is going to be a critical part of that for us. It's the backbone to what we do in terms of our client relationship model, and we're excited for that partnership.
Thank you, Jason. That's a great way, I think, to end this conversation. It was a pleasure having you here today. We really appreciate you joining us. And with that, I'll send it back to you, Leah.
Thank you so much, Alyene and Jason. What a great conversation. I love the theme that Jason hit on. This is not just a head issue, analytics. This is also a heart issue. I love the reskilling, Trailhead, Pathfinders, all these amazing programs, just so much goodness in that conversation. I hope you all took notes in there. I know I did. Lots to walk away and think about as we reshape our future and really define what our destiny is. So now I'm excited to hand it off to Elizabeth and jump into a demo where you'll learn how customers like Deloitte standardize on best practices, make smarter and faster decisions, and close deals faster by keeping all of their data, processes, and conversations inside of Salesforce. Take it away, Elizabeth.
Thanks, Leah. I'm Elizabeth Martin, a technical product marketer with Salesforce Anywhere. Let's dive into the demo. We're going to show this demo from two different perspectives. We'll start off from the perspective of James, a lead partner at United Consulting. James is responsible for the strategic relationship with one of their largest customers, Advanced Communications. He works with a team of practice specialists, such as Olivia, to drive opportunities across the customer's different business units. As he isn't necessarily in the weeds in every single opportunity, he likes to get notified when there are updates to any of the opportunities across the account. James has just stepped out for coffee when he receives an alert that one of their long-shot opportunities for the quarter has been moved to the next stage. This is the type of thing he might not have seen right away before his team adopted Salesforce Anywhere. He would have had to be actively monitoring the dashboards and reports for the account to see this change. It's now front and center, and he can immediately engage. When he opens the alert, he's taken right to the opportunity details. This was a long shot deal, so it's great news to see that it's moving forward. He decides to send a quick note to the practice lead to ensure that she's engaging the broader team and bringing in the appropriate execs to help move this forward. With Salesforce Anywhere, it's easy to send a note directly from his mobile device. He doesn't need to wait until he gets back to his desk. Best of all, he's able to include the alert itself with a click of a button. The context is all right there, and he doesn't need to copy and paste any information, as he might need to if he was writing an email. Olivia sees this right away and quickly responds. Let's jump over to her perspective. Olivia is at her desk, updating the opportunity record in Salesforce when she receives the note from James. After quickly responding, she clicks over to the Pursuit Plan tab, following his suggestion to create a plan from the template. The template was created based on best practices from the most successful opportunities. It contains the structure that Olivia needs to engage the appropriate team members and provide the right level of exec visibility. The template automatically brings in the relevant data from CRM and allows Olivia and her team a place to capture their notes and add context based on their conversations with the customer. Here, Olivia can start developing a relationship map so that the broader team understands key decision makers and overall dynamics. She and her team can add additional context, such as comments and notes on each individual. She's able to view live reports from Salesforce, and she can also see live dashboards showing a summary of data from across multiple instances of Salesforce. This gives the team a quick view into anything that might put the opportunity at risk. Previously, this data was not as easily accessible. She had to reach out to her ops counterparts, who were overburdened as it was, and they had to dig into a few separate systems to pull this data together. Within the context of the live data, her team is also able to see the full history of any meeting notes and ongoing conversation, providing insight into what the approach has been to date and what's changed. Before they adopted Salesforce Anywhere, all of the information within this plan was living in separate places. Personal notes applications, chats, emails, and disparate systems, making it time-consuming to get up to speed. Salesforce Anywhere brings this all together, visible from directly within the CRM. With the entire team aligned, Olivia is successful in her next meeting and receives a verbal commit from the customer. When the opportunity is moved to this stage, an opportunity transition plan is automatically created via Salesforce automation. It pulls in the relevant opportunity details, links to the account plan and meeting notes, and also has a checklist for handoff. This is setting up the delivery team for success, giving them the context and resources they need to be 100% aligned as they engage with the customer. Now that we've seen this from Olivia's perspective, let's switch back to James. James receives another notification that Olivia has updated the stage to verbal commit. Based on how well the opportunity has progressed, he's going to update his forecast judgment. He then forwards the alert to the customer team to let them know that this is closing soon. With the click of a button, he includes the record detail for context. With the transition plan in hand and a clear line of communication back to the practice lead, the delivery team now has everything they need to begin getting up to speed and to kick off a successful project. I hope that was helpful in highlighting how Salesforce Anywhere can help professional services firms standardize on best practices, make smarter and faster decisions, and close deals faster by keeping all of their data, processes, and conversations inside of Salesforce. I'll turn it back to you, Leah.
Thank you, Elizabeth. That was great. Now, if you want to learn more about Salesforce Anywhere, please visit the trail mix you see on your screen, sforce.co/SFA. Now, you all know the drill. We've been through this before. If you want to see today's musical performance, which I promise you do, and interview with Samir, please go to Salesforce Live right now. That's salesforce.com/live. So if you're watching us on Twitter, head on over. We'll be waiting for you.